Hello guys, welcome back to another session. This is part 2 and we've already started our discussion on Panchayati Raj chapter 5 grade 6 CBSE. So in the last class we revised what is Gram Sabha. We also got to know about Gram Panchayat, what is the difference and what do we have in common in both the teams, may it be Gram Sabha or Gram Panchayat. So we learned about this village that's called Hardas village, where the people met and they were discussing about the water issue. So as the discussion was going on, there was one of the member whose name was Anwar, and he suggested to talk and to find ways to come up with watershed development plan. He had observed the same when he visited his brother in Maharashtra. He also happened to live in the village. So I already explained to you, but many of you might be confused. So let me do it once again for you. What is watershed development? So let's say we have the hills here and there is where the water comes from. Here is again where the water comes from, and this is the area where people live. You have fields here, right? You've got the people living here, you've got a lot of trees, you've got well here. So what exactly is this one? Watershed. So wherever the water comes and wherever it drains, you have to take care of that entire area, dealing all the way with soil erosion and of course with the floods. We need to come up with a solution. So it's restoration and conservation of all its natural resources, especially water. So what happens is, as the water comes from the top to the valley, it has a lot of force to it. So what we can do is we can create some sections right here to slow down the flow of water as it rolls down. So if it is running, what you can make sure, you can make it walk. And then of course you need to bring it to a standstill. So what happens if it's the water is gushing, you make it walk. Walking water is then stopped and then you try to force it underground. The idea here is to trap and store water wherever it falls. But if I talk about the speed of rainwater, which drains away everything, but with this technique, you can not only ensure that you have groundwater recharged, but also every other place you can make sure that the relevant supply or the necessary supply of water is delivered. Is it okay, guys? So it's taking care of the entire section. Chalo. Anyway, so when Anwar talked about this proposal that this is the watershed development plan, so they thought that of course, why can't we do that? Why can't we build those check dams, have rivers, plant the trees to take care of the entire area? So everybody thought that we appreciate what you've said and we are going to talk about it in detail. So one of the issue was water, right? Where the people talked about water, the problem of water. And the second cause of concern was BPL. Now what is BPL? There is a list that is prepared by the members of the village and the Gram Sabha approves it below poverty line. It's like a consideration as to who are the people who live in extreme poverty, who face economic problem, who are not able to feed themselves or maybe their family because of any reason. So a list is prepared of all the people who live below poverty line so that government assistance can be provided to them, help can be provided to them. So once the list is prepared, it has to be approved by the members of Gram Sabha. So what happened? The meeting was taking place and everybody was seated and they started to read out the names. So the first name that they read was of Natwar. And the ladies started and the people started to talk, Arey, how can you say Natwar isn't rich or he falls in this list? He just got his television. His son sent him the motorcycle. How? So Natwar was being talked about by Surajmal. So Surajmal started to whisper in one of the members' ear that this is the case. Then there was another person. The second case came up. The second name was taken. That is Birju. So they said, how did Birju get his name in the list? He can't be a contender. He has so much of land. He is rich. So Birju's name was being talked about by Saroj, and it was mentioned to Sukhi. Saroj said, Sukhi bro, how did Birju get his name into the list? And everybody started to wonder that there is actually a very poor person in the village who's landless laborer, does not have any land, whose name is Om Prakash. What about his name? It isn't there in the list. So then everybody started to whisper, oh, you know what? Birju got his name. How Natwar got his name? It's wrong. But they managed to get their names into the list. May it be Natwar, may it be Birju, may it be other rich people, because they are friends with a rich landowner who's also known as Zamindar, who has a lot of zameen, which is land, whose name is Amir Chand. So he has a lot of power. He's very influential. And in the meeting also, he's taking care of who is talking about this person, Om Prakash. So Amir Chand kept his eyes on everybody. He was looking at everybody, trying to control the situation. And all of a sudden, Saroj stood up. Saroj said, Sir, I can't see Om Prakash's name. So the Sarpanch, he was surprised. He said, where is Om Prakash's name? I can't see his name. And when the people were asked about it, they said, oh, sorry, by mistake. They didn't say they did it on purpose, or they were asked to do so. They said, sir, when we went to survey Om Prakash's house, it was locked. How could we finish our work? There was nobody whom we could ask about his income and determine if he falls in below poverty line category or not. So the Panchayat said, no, you go and work on this one. This won't work. So that made people very happy. They said, okay, sir, we'll revise the PPL list for you. Now let's talk a bit more about Gram Panchayat. So Gram Panchayat, as I told you, it's the elected body or the temporary body that implements the programs. Whatever was being discussed, they're supposed to implement all those programs. So the first task is to implement the programs. But those programs, all the policies that they make, they have to work in coordination with a body that's called Gram Sabha. It's very important to take their approval. So sometimes what happens is, let's say this is Gram Panchayat. In most of the village, there is a system that works like this. Gram Panchayat and Gram Sabha, where a lot of people are there. And here we've got limited set of people. So in order to work in coordination, what they do is, they make certain committees here, one committee and one member with this one. Let's say they make another committee and another member here, right? It could be a committee on construction, right? And they have a member here. It could be a committee on development and they have a member here. So they work on specific issues together. But what happens is, they have to make sure that they work in coordination and they have to come up with a solution. At times, it's also observed that, ma'am, there are problems related to the funds. Where do they get the money from? So the Gram Panchayat, it collects its money, number one. Where does the money come from? First thing, they collect taxes on houses or maybe from the marketplace, from where they get the money. The second is they receive money. The government gives them money under various funds, right? So they receive it from the government, or maybe at times they receive the donations. Correct? This is what they receive. But what do they do? What job do they perform? It's equally important to know that what job does the Gram Panchayat perform. Let me explain what is their job. What is their work profile? Number one, they have to take care of construction. They have to take care of the maintenance of all the things in the village. May it be the water source, may it be the roads, may it be the drains, may it be the school buildings. Then of course, the second thing, they have to execute, because it's an executing body, or I'll say implement the government schemes that work for the welfare of the people. Talk about any scheme where they make sure that the people who have their kids and the family lives below poverty line, they can send them to the school. And the third job is to sustain themselves. They have to collect, or you can say also levy, which means impose taxes, which is the main source of income. Alright guys, so now we are going to work on the 3 tiers of government, and that we'll do in the next class. In case you like this session, please make sure you like, share and subscribe. Thank you.